What's going on, guys? So, welcome to a new and improved sort of version of Just Some Guys Talking. I'm Christopher Page, and this show has come out of an extension of some of my writing and a desire to bring some folks together. So, I have specifically my desire to bring together different men from different walks of life. What I've been pretty fortunate to do is bring together a couple of people or a few people that have all affected my life in some ways. So all of these folks are close to me. And so I would like to welcome Mr. Dustin Shore, otherwise known as the man to bring sexy back.
Wasn't that Justin Timberlake, if I'm not mistaken? If my pop culture references are on point.
Good job. You win this episode of TRL.
Yes. That's pretty much my current music status of I was looking at the new rappers of the Freshman XSL. I was like, wow, I don't know one of these people. I'm old at this point. But yeah, it's great to be here, Chris. You know, I'm really excited to just get to dialogue with people, like you said, from different walks of life, especially in a scenario today where everybody's so tribal, so angry. It's going to be a good time to bring some positivity to the world, to anybody who listens to us. You're really going to get something out of this. We have a very diverse cast for everybody who's listening. I'm excited to be here and ready to grow with you guys.
Very, very, very good. I couldn't even think of any other adjectives or adverbs to add to that. So I know we did this before, but I'm going to kind of explain where these guys come from. But before I do that, I want to welcome Scotty P. I've never called you that. I don't think I'll ever call you that again.
Scotty P.
Scotty P. The illustrious historian of Staten Island, Mr. Scott Ferry. So,
yeah. I'm Scott Ferry. I'm a brother of Chris Page and Dustin Shore. I am one of the quirky ones. Well, we're all quirky. I am the married bachelor, which is contradiction in terms, but I am a married bachelor. I've been married, but I am a bachelor. So it's a very interesting contradiction, but I am who I am.
So that was moving. I like this. I like this new kind of designation of the married bachelor. I am personally the committed relationship guy, but no rings. No rings.
So look at that. We got a married bachelor, a committed guy with no rings, both of different persuasions and political affiliations. And then you have a third guy who's fully friggin' single, like dating and stuff, which is and of a different political persuasion and religion as well. So, it's great how we can have civil dialogue, be positive, affect positive change in a world where people are trying to keep you down. And anybody who tunes into this podcast, that's not what you're going to get. So just buckle up because it's only going to get good from here.
It'll be a roller coaster.
All right. So that, gentlemen, was our intro. So I'm going to count us out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So I'm going to start doing that because that makes it a little bit easier to give a little space and everything. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go right into a
that was a good segment. I was a fan of the segment.
You ought to be. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just kind of, and this is what I want to establish. So first, just the basic intro, just going to be like the hellos, how you doing? It's sort of like, what I want that to be is basically like, imagine us if we had a show where we're together. Like, most people when they have some kind of a show, they walk on, and that's kind of what you see with them. If when we get to like a live show that's taped, like in front of a studio audience,
Yeah.
I want even that to be different, where like we have food, we I'm thinking that we'll have like a little buffet, and we grab a little bit of this and that, and like there's food available during the show for us, and then maybe we can eventually even have a small studio audience and they can have food, so it's like we're eating together.
Yeah.
So
Very eating fest.
So while we're in different spaces, while we do this on Zoom, don't worry about it today, but I'd love it if we can do like even something like, I don't know, bring your favorite drink or beer or like a food or something, like to kind of notch together, because I think that just relaxes people, and it's just a way of like, it's sort of my family didn't really eat together because we just all had opposing schedules, but I think it's kind of a nice thing, like even if we can't have a meal in person, just have a meal together and chat. So the next thing we're going to go right into is, and I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. That's one of the things I'm doing right now. I'm actually okay. So I'm going to count us in, and what? No.
And what's it?
3, 36. Okay. All right. So I'm going to count us in.
Oh, but wait, what's this segment?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So I wanted to go to first.
So we get 5 seconds of prep.
Yeah. Like before you like start eating, like what are we talking about?
That's why I sent you guys the articles.
I know that, but
So no, I'm good. No, I'm good. Weird workout stories.
Okay.
So I want to first go to the weird workout stories, and here we go. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Weird workout stories. Okay, so we talk about a variety of things in our show, and all of these pieces are different elements that we think that affect men, and we wanted to talk about how we feel about it and eventually open it up to thoughts and comments and such. So I used to work in a gym. We used to work in multiple gyms, and I definitely saw some of the craziest things I ever thought I'd see. Sometimes it was the actual workout that was weird or crazy. Sometimes it was the behavior of who was working out. So I'm just going to throw this in here. What I want you guys to do is tell me what you think or your similar stories. So we all looked at this article, and it was an article by Kelly Twardziak in Muscle and Fitness. It's like 5 weird fitness trends you probably forgot. So this isn't a fitness trend, but when I used to work, this actually didn't happen to me. It happened in the gym, one gym that I used to work at. There was a lady that would come in, and she would get on the tall stepper. So the one that has like it's sort of like an escalator that you're locked onto forever. So she would get to the top of it, and she would bring 2 bagels with her to the gym, and she would put each bagel in like her middle finger, and she'd hold the bagel behind her as she walked on the machine. I thought it was like the most bizarre thing, because I'm like, well, A, what are you doing to bagels afterwards? And B, like, where did you get that from? Like, just such a weird thing. So, but hey, maybe it worked for her. I just didn't see, I mean, you could do the same thing with the weight, right? You could just take a 2-pound weight and...
My first question would have been, were those bagels like cream cheesed or buttered? But I'm assuming they were just regular bagels that she was using as finger weights.
Dry.
Trying to train a little 2 things at once. You never know.
Yeah.
Well, my thought was when I looked at what she could be doing was that she was just trying, like, if you tense your arms, that is a good workout too, because you're just seeing how long you keep your arm tensed. And you do, like, there is like an actual like idea to it. But my thought was like just bagels. And also that's got like, what if the bagel falls in the machine?
Yeah, I mean that'd be very weird.
Down one bagel.
But just, I mean, just weird stuff. So my question to you is like, what's one of the weirdest things that happened to you or that you've seen happen in a gym? And I'll tell you that one was always sticks out as a weird one, but there's something even weirder. But so either like a weird trend that you've seen or something that you have observed in a gym that you thought was bizarre.
Okay, well, I don't go to the gym, but I work out, and no, I like walking. I like hiking, and I went on a hike like I don't know 10 years ago or more with this girl. Because I was like, she wants to hang out with me. I was like, okay, come hiking with me because I like hiking.
Oh, that would have been that for me.
So we were hiking, and we're talking, and she's like into crystals, and she's like writing like this like massive fantasy novel and stuff. She's like one of those people. Nothing wrong with those people, but you know, disclaimer, Scott Frey disclaimer. But so we were hanging out, and then she told me that we were talking about reincarnation. Then she tells me that she's Cleopatra reincarnated, and I start laughing. I think it's funny because I think she's just joking. Then she gets offended because she's curious. So then I start laughing harder, and I start laughing at her. And I was like, okay, I guess this is the first and last time we hang out.
I mean,
the Socratic method that like crazy. When was your birthday? You know, like I would have been like, okay, I want to learn about this.
Yeah, no, like whatever.
But yeah, I think we classify that as mental illness.
I guess so, or maybe I don't know. Maybe she just was.
She could have been. She could have been. I mean, I believe in that type of stuff, but that's like a little. That's like a little pompous. You think you're like the most famous queen of Egypt of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so on that note, it's really hard for me to work out with people because when I go and work out, I'm not thinking about any words. Like I just want to exorcise the demons from my body through exercise. And so,
that's called endorphins.
Yes. Well, for me, like the way that I've been able to manage my temper is through working out. So I save anything that bothers me, and then when I go to the gym, it's like, what did that person say? Ah! And then I feel better. But I mean, sort of like that. And but Dusty Dust.
Yes.
What's one of the weirdest things you've either seen in a gym or like something associated with any kind of exercise?
So I'm gonna, I guess, tip my hand to our future viewers, and I always go with the funny route. So I'm gonna give a personal story. I don't go to the gym often because I have like this degenerative back issue, and that's all I'll say for now. But after college, I was like the heaviest I'd ever been. I was almost 200 pounds. I'm 5'11", but like it wasn't good. So I started going to the gym like 3 times a day, playing basketball once, lifting once, running once. So one day I'm running on the treadmill, I'm running on the treadmill, and there's like, I don't know, like when you're at a gym, there's like a bunch of treadmills. So I'm on a treadmill and there's nobody else there. And this like beautiful girl comes up next to me and starts like walking on the treadmill. I forget that I'm running on the treadmill, and because I look at her and I was just like, how is this girl like coming up next to me? And I'm like already thinking like what I'm gonna say. But in that moment, I forgot that I also had to be running on the treadmill. So I stopped moving and flew back off of the treadmill. Suffice to say, I just looked at her, laughed, and that was the last time I saw her. Weird workout stories. You know, I've just seen some people using the weights in some of the most ridiculous manners that it's like a health hazard.
Yeah. See, okay. So on that note,
Like hanging upside down from like a pull-up ball, like the pull thing by like your feet, like things that just shouldn't be done.
so on that note, when working at a gym, you're often presented with weird situations. So whenever I was not working, there was usually an effort on my part to be as disguised as possible. So, you know, nobody's expecting to see me in a tank top, so I'm hoping that I see you in a tank top. Are you raising your hand?
Yeah. Tell the Eminem story. Eminem.
This is why we have an outline.
No, it's a weird workout story.
Yes, but
this is a part of the timeline.
Yes, but really briefly, because I want to make sure we stay on track. So, I was when I would go into the sauna for me is just like super relaxing because like it's hot. I don't feel like I can speak to anybody. I don't want to speak to anybody. So I would always just make sure like I brought an extra towel and I'd put the towel over my head. And, you know, just kind of focusing on relaxing and just getting my toxins out. So I'm sitting in the sauna one day and I hear this sound that can only be described as like, it sounded like someone was scraping something against sandpaper. So I didn't really want to know what it was. And I was like, well, it doesn't sound like anything's nasty. You know, it doesn't sound like anything that's nasty is going on. It just sounds like a weird sound. So I was like, you know, maybe I have no idea what's going on. And I'm also not on the clock. So I'm just like, I don't want to be involved with anything. Have my towel over my head. And then I realized later that the gentleman that was in there with me was shaving himself. He was not shaving his face, by the way. And so after that, I then had members come up to me and say, this one guy is like really irate. And he's like, I just saw the principal from my daughter's school in the sauna, butt naked, shaving himself. Now I can't even look at him. Can you tell him not to do that? And when you work in a gym, you often have to be very, very tactful in weird situations. So I had to actually go up to this man and say, hey, how you doing? No, good to see you. Glad you came in today. Just wanted to review something with you really quick. So since everyone uses the sauna, we always encourage people to take care of any personal grooming needs in a space where you can totally take care of the remains of that process. That really isn't necessarily the sauna, since, you know, it's shared and people are kind of weird about sitting on other people's hair and things like that. But a lot of people, it's a weird thing. A lot of people do bizarre stuff. I'm not saying
I'm curious who this principal is. What year was this and what location?
No, this was in New Jersey, not a Staten Islander.
Oh, I know. So, but I'm so interested. We can still Google this guy.
You don't know? I don't remember the man's name.
But I know that.
First of all, this guy was smart. He would have extorted the principal and gotten his girl into any school she wanted to.
Okay, West Wing, like.
Maybe that's just how I think. But when you got a guy in a compromising situation that he put himself in, God's just dropping that for you. I'm not saying college is the way to go because, but he had it on a silver platter and he snitched out because he couldn't see somebody shaving their balls, which is disgusting. But you see old saggy balls in the locker room all the time. Like that's what happens in the locker room, and all the old guys are about that life. That's what they do.
I just think there's a point that they get to where it's like, I don't care. I'm going to get to my underwear anyway. So at some point, but I wanted to, since Scott requested this story, so do this really quick because we just have we have.
And also don't forget the Costco follow up.
What?
The Costco follow up with the story.
This is the friendly show. This is we can't be getting fired
There's
off.
nothing wrong with the Costco follow up. Everything is family right here. Okay.
So there's a guy in my gym, and he is. I call him Eminem because he's consistently rapping, and he's short and kind of reminded me of Eminem when I'm not really sure which part of the phase of Eminem this was, but like when like Eminem had like dark hair and kind of like maybe like a one cut sort of. Because sometimes
he's just getting sober.
Hmm?
I said probably around the time he was just getting sober.
Okay, that sounds good. So this guy would always be rapping all around the gym, and like I write, I sing. I don't mind people getting into their art, but it was just so obnoxious. And then I noticed that he seemed to get louder around people that I think he assumed appreciated rap, and so for whatever reason, he thought that I was the person to rap around sometimes, and so he'd be really loud. But he wasn't like rapping his own lyrics; he was rapping a regular song. You know what I mean? So, but he'd go into the sauna, and I could never go in the sauna when he was there because he'd be like doing push-ups and doing sit-ups and not relaxing, the opposite of relaxing. Then he'd be jumping from one level to the other, like he was like preparing for a tour. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool, but you're rapping someone else's lyrics. It's not like you're rapping your own. Like I'd be impressed if you were just spitting this like on your own, but you're just reciting lyrics. So anyway,
so you expected him to just be like, "Hi, my name is," and just like rapping like Eminem lyrics? I'm just curious.
No, with rap it's a little bit different. Like with rap, you're kind of expected to come world hip hop. You're kind of expected to write your own stuff. So it's to me not as impressive if you're rapping someone else's lyrics. Like if he was, because he had a good voice, a good cadence for this, but if he had been spitting his own lyrics, I would be like, oh wow, like this is impressive. But you're just reciting someone else's lyrics. It's like I feel it's different than with singing. Like singing is more about like the voice. Like it's not so much about the writing. When you're listening to somebody, because you're kind of listening to what are they a good singer? But anyway, so with that background, that's one of the reasons I stopped using the sauna, because he would just annoy me on my personal time. So he wasn't there, and nobody was there one day, and I was like, I can finally go sit in the sauna, and nobody's going to bother me. So I was so excited. I finish my workout, sit in the sauna, everything's great, and I'm getting ready to go. I put my jacket on, and I have my phone in my hand like this. And almost like the universe planned it, he comes right around the corner. My phone is just on top of my hand. And I just hear, bah, bah, bah. I don't know what the words he said, but it startled me so much that like my phone was here and I just went, and it dropped to the floor and cracked into, hold on a second. Anthony's not home.
Yeah, professional, bro. Yo, maybe he's getting swatted. You know, that shit that's been going down these days. Everybody's been getting swatted. So what's swatting? Oh my God, swatting.
Swatting. That's swatting. It's swatting.
SWAT. SWAT.
Yeah, swatting.
Yeah.
Okay, what's swatting? What's going
on? You don't know
on?
what that is?
I know like swatting, but like
no. Okay, so swatting originated in the gaming community. What they would do is when they would get pissed off at somebody, they would call the police and say, "Hey, I just killed my wife. I'm gonna kill myself." Like, you know, send the police.
Oh, yeah, so like send the SWAT, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been escalated to now like independent political commentators get like threats and swats. So I was like, this is real professional, Chris. What are you getting swatted right now? Because it's been happening like insane amounts for the last couple months. So, I try to make light of the situations because nobody's been hurt from it. So, because that's a very serious thing. I mean, if the SWAT team's coming in thinking that there's somebody with a weapon, like that's not a recipe for anything good. So, anyway, Chris, back to your story. Sorry, we had to fill the air somehow.
Yeah.
Sometimes family stops over and assumes that it's okay to just stop over, and I kind of had to redirect someone.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm not available right now.
We're going to be doing the revolving door situation on this one, and you're out.
Yeah.
You did not receive an invite to this podcast.
Yeah, it's is it magical chair? No, magical chairs.
Musical chairs.
Musical chairs. Yeah, musical chairs.
Magical chairs.
I don't know. I'm like,
What games are you playing?
I don't know. They did disappearing chair, right? It's a magical chair. So it
Well, no,
disappeared.
it's musical chairs because they would play music, and then when the music stopped,
yeah.
Like magical chairs would be, I think, more a room that doesn't have any chairs, and then all of a sudden has a chair.
All of a sudden they have chairs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then it becomes like a ghost
like
story.
There's 20 chairs, and then the music stops, and then all of a sudden there's just one chair, and everybody sits down and falls to the ground. That would be magical chair.
Yeah.
Or everyone disappears, and the chairs stay.
Speaking of people disappearing, have you noticed that like there's not as many people around? Like, did people get raptured? Like everywhere I go,
I mean,
it's help wanted. We're short staffed. I don't see as many people, and I spend a lot of time on the road going from dentist to dentist, and it's insane how little people there are compared to a few years ago. So it's just like where'd they all go?
They're actually all in my house. I've taken everybody.
I was gonna say, was that another visitor? You're breaking the record.
You're onto it, and now that you're onto it,
well, don't worry. I have to cross. I have to cross like 5 bridges to see you, so that's like insane.
Don't worry, I'll play magical chairs.
Magical chairs, and also tell
and something will magically happen to you in your chair.
Yeah. Tell us about the Costco follow-up.
We have to stay on track. All right, this already went on a while, so we're gonna go to the next topic. So, okay, we're ending this topic in 5, 4, 3,
hangers sometimes
1. We can always revisit things. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna
it's a teaser. Foreshadowing, magical foreshadowing.
Oh, Jesus.
Cliffhanger.
Okay, so I am going to put the timer.
Why don't we do this? You bring up something, then we each talk for like a minute or a minute and a half, and then we each like banter for like a minute or two about what we all spoke about.
Hold on 1 second.
I can't do 2 things at once. It's recorded though, so don't worry.
I refuse to do 2 things at once. That's the difference. Okay, so okay, go. The next thing we're going to talk about is I was watching this piece with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was talking about people's research into if we are a simulation. So not if we are a simulation, if we are a simulation. And then I watched Eternals, and it's obviously fiction, but I started thinking like, well, could that be? Like, could we be in a simulation? So, Dustin Scott, do you think there's a possibility that we are in a simulation, and we did the article that we're referencing is
What, Elon Musk saying there's a 99.9% chance we live in a simulation?
no.
Well, while you're looking, I could weigh in on it. So
Oh, wait.
simulation theories.
The article is called "Do We Live in a Simulation? Chances Are About 50-50," and it's by Anil Ananthaswamy. So that's where the conversation kind of popped off from. But Dustin, are we real? Are we a simulation? Are we somewhere in Jupiter having our minds harvested? Like, what do you think?
Okay, so first, I think simulation is the wrong word because simulation means that there's a desired outcome. I think it could be a potential simulacrum, but simulation I don't think is the right word. But when people bring up simulation theory, it's almost rudimentary religion. When you think about it, it's like, oh, there's a creator. There's like, I don't really know too much about simulation theory or religion, but when I hear about it, it's kind of sounds like they're starting to be religious, just believing in a different God. So it's, to me,